Well, a 2-month Watchdog 10 investigation uncovers the state of Ohio spending millions of your tax dollars for cab rides for drug addicts, and nobody at the state wants to talk about this. What we uncovered came after a tip from a viewer, as Watchdog 10's Kurt Ludlow explains.
100,000 people went through drug and alcohol treatment in Ohio last year. A little less than a third of them, some 29,000 people, were treated for opiate addiction. Everything from prescription painkillers to heroin. Many have no job, no car, and virtually no way to get treatment unless they're on Medicaid. Then they get a free ride.
How are you? Good, how are you?
Each morning at Comp Drug in Columbus.
What's your number?
More than 1,000 people addicted to opiates arrive to receive their daily dose of the life-saving drug methadone. Experts say methadone plus psychosocial treatment offers addicts the best chance of beating the addiction, whether they're hooked on painkillers or heroin.
What methadone is for individuals who have a long history. High tolerance.
Comp Drug CEO Dustin Metz says 90% of his clients come from Franklin County. But he says opiate addiction isn't just an urban problem anymore.
The disadvantage is that the rural setting is not necessarily conducive to opiate treatment. So we do have more people coming in from surrounding areas where there are no treatment centers.
In fact, Comp Drug is one of just 12 methadone clinics in the state, each located in a big city. So for opiate addicts who live outside the city, say in Athens, help is difficult to get. Like most cities in Ohio, Athens doesn't have a clinic where heroin patients can go to get methadone treatments. The closest clinic is 75 miles away in Columbus. Addicts on Medicaid who don't have transportation to get there can get a free ride every day thanks to you, the taxpayer. Chris Collins contacted Watchdog 10 after learning that Medicaid pays for the rides.
It's a waste of taxpayers' money, and I don't like it being wasted like this.
So Watchdog 10 started looking into this and discovered something called non-emergency transportation, or NET. If a poor patient needs a ride to the doctor, Medicaid will pay for it. Ohio spent $53 million last year driving poor patients to medical appointments. How much of that was for trips to drug treatment centers like Comp Drug? We can't tell you because the state doesn't even know. But we do know this. Many patients arrive by cab and transit vehicles, and that's not cheap. Over the past 2 months, we watched cabs bring patients from all over Franklin County, sometimes just a few miles to and from a patient's home. This trip went to North Columbus. But look at this. We followed cabs to other counties. This was a 44-mile ride from Columbus to Cardington in Morrow County. And on another day, we tailed this van back to Vinton County, a trip of 93 miles just one way. And taxpayers picked up the tab, $418.50 for one patient from one county.
It's just not a good investment for taxpayers the way it's structured now.
Jack Freck is the director of the Athens County Department of Job and Family Services. To save money, his agency contracts with senior volunteers to drive addicts to Columbus each day. But even that adds up, as much as $11,000 per person per year.
That's very expensive. I mean, that's thousands and thousands of dollars that are being spent for that particular individual. And, you know, I'd be the first to say, we would prefer to have those treatments available here and not have to do that.
But the dispensing of methadone is highly regulated. Methadone clinics must have a special license and deal with complicated federal and state rules, making it too costly for many rural areas. So the only option, shipping addicts to big city clinics each day.
On the other hand, you look at this and you think, well, the other option would be to simply not provide the treatment. So then essentially you have a drug addict. You know, what's the cost of that? Well, $28,000 a year if you're going to put them in prison.
Dustin Metz agrees treatment is always cheaper than prison.
Do we keep people in treatment because that's the medically appropriate thing to do, or do we put them back out there and then pay the cost someplace else?
For Metz and Jack Freck, the answer is simple. The cost of the transportation should continue to be covered by the taxpayers, with thousands of addicted Ohioans, many of whom are too poor to own a car, being given free rides to get clean, costing millions of dollars a year.
It begs the policy question. Well, okay, then is it too expensive? You know, do we say because that is too expensive, therefore you don't get methadone treatment, you can stay, you know, a drug addict?
Remember that ride to Vinton County, that 93-mile one-way trip costing taxpayers $418.50? Vinton County spent almost $125,000 in 2012 to transport people to methadone clinics. During that same time period, Fayette County spent a little over $97,000. So $250,000 from just 2 counties. There's 88 counties in Ohio. Remember, the state of Ohio says $53 million was spent driving people to all medical appointments. But when we asked how much of that was for driving opiate addicts to their appointments, no one could give the number. And they also declined our request for an interview. For Watchdog 10, I'm Kurt Ludlow.